The story begins with what seems to be giant armored beings set to delete an area. A blacksmith named Aiden is holding a young, wounded girl named Alice. She awakens and tells Aiden to run away just as one of the unnamed monsters fires a beam at the two. Aiden loses an arm and a leg while Alice has taken a death blow. She apologizes as she starts breaking into fragments of light. Her last words to Aiden, leaving behind her bracelet and Aiden heartbroken. The giants start surrounding Aiden, being led by an ominous character who intends to permanently delete the NPC Aiden. As he starts disappearing, Aiden tries to understand why this is happening when all he wanted was a quiet and normal life. This was a world filled with monsters, inhabited by players chosen by the system to hunt said monsters. Eventually, the players started to commit themselves into becoming heroes, and peace remained until they started treating the NPCs as toys. Aiden and his sister survived their harsh life because of a bug that allowed them to move about during inspections when the rest of the world stops. In the past, when Aiden was working as a blacksmith, he ended up breaking a player's weapon while trying to strengthen it. The player beat up Aiden because of that, and the only reason he restrained him from killing Aiden was due to a karma penalty he would have suffered. Aiden could put up with all of this because of his sister. Back in the present, with this reason to live shattered, Aiden lashes out at the system administrator, promising to destroy the system as he's being erased. As Aiden falls down a chasm during his erasure, a hand reaches out and a voice states that Aiden has been recovered. Aiden awakens in the remains of his destroyed city, and a dialogue box pops up in front of him. It states, "You have obtained administrator privileges, admin level 1. Along with that, he gains the skill Command. Sometime later, in Banson Forest near Edeline Castle, a bunch of players are seen gathering for an event. It's an upgrade event where upgrade probabilities will be increased by using just gold, hosted by Aiden. All the players are in a rush to participate in the event. One such player who cuts in line is the guy who we see beating up Aiden in his flashback. Aiden recognizes the arrogant player as he tries to get upgrades for a bunch of items. It seems that he's a reseller with a bad temper and looks for problems. The guy has also racked up a bunch of warnings which would lead to him and his crew falling into the penalty ground. The arrogant player recognizes Aiden as the NPC from the erased village. He proceeds to talk about Alice, stating that the useless kid must have been erased. This angers Aiden, who tells them that the probability for success is 25% and whether they will proceed. The player is confident in his odds and offers all his items. Aiden has other plans and manipulates the probabilities to break all the items. The player ends up having to pay his partner back tenfold. The player is pushed away and the event ends after a bit. Later at night, Aiden sits down with his earnings to claim his reward. He remembers the day he got his power. He started seeing his status screen along with the menu for command keys. The only visible command key was to host an event. The key is that of a system administrator. A quest window pops up where Aiden has to find an Easter egg. He resolves to be used as long as he can get his revenge on the administrator. Aiden gains admin level 2 and unlocks a new command key. After getting his reward, Aiden starts to consider how weak he is when compared to regular players. He realizes that he has to get stronger before the next inspection, otherwise he may be deleted. With that in mind, Aiden heads out the next day to a dungeon to level up, with a figure watching him from the shadows. Unbeknownst to Aiden, the dungeon he entered using his admin rights had a recommended level of 80. Inside the dungeon, Aiden ends up using a path away from the dangerous monsters and reaches a locked door. He uses a command key to unlock it and finds himself at an altar where the bright Easter egg lies floating on a goblet. Aiden gets closer. An armed monster appears and attacks him with a sword. Aiden is pushed back before he gathers his resolve and unsheathes his sword. Aiden gets pummeled but uses all his will to attack the monster's neck. He seems relieved for a second before the headless Dulhallan attacks again, severely wounding Aiden. Buried in a wall, Aiden is about to lose hope, but he remembers his sister and regains the will to live. He ends up breaking the monster's sword using his hammer as the enchantment failed. Aiden realizes that the monster is seen as equipment and uses his enhancement skill to destroy the armor. Aiden proceeds to gain the Easter egg and gains admin level 3. He stumbles out of the dungeon and faints from his wounds. Right there, he's approached by the hooded stalker, revealed to be a beautiful girl with blue hair. Back in the defeated dungeon, the dungeon keeper that Aiden beat is being analyzed by an orb. It detects traces of a bug and makes a report. Aiden wakes up and finds the girl, Aria, trying to get him to accept her friend request. Aiden is in clear shock and asks who the girl is. She introduces herself, but Aiden is on edge as she's a player. He tries to check her status but is unable to. The window that shows up displays a warning higher than the maximum, leading them to realize the threat. Aria tries to make Aiden calm down by saying that she healed his injuries without hoping for a reward. She seems to be interested in what Aiden is. Just then, a quest arrives for our unfortunate hero. Aiden thanks Aria before standing up to leave, but she keeps following him and bombarding him with friend requests. Aria proposes that he should have her around in case he faints again, and right on cue, a pack of dogs attacks him. He takes his sword out while refusing help from Aria to grow stronger. Meanwhile, in a different, shadier place, the orb makes a report to a man who comments on how someone was able to destroy the dungeon keeper who possessed immortality. The system operator, Lloyd, decides to see the bug himself. While everything else is going on in the background, Aiden has defeated the pack of dogs and gained command skills, double status points as a reward. He opts not to use it yet due to the side effects. Besides that, he still hasn't gained a level. Later at night, Aria asks Aiden why he works so hard to get stronger. She offers to have him in her party for level growth. Much to Aria's surprise, Aiden agrees to the idea. The two head out to Hecla Gorge the next day, an area with a recommended level of 50. Aiden is told to stand still while Aria works on the monsters. He applies a double experience rule command on himself before remembering the two methods to gain experience. The first being through quests and the second through hunting monsters. Aiden couldn't accept quests from other NPCs, so he had spent many days hunting, but his level wouldn't grow. He realized that this was a limitation of an NPC, so working with Aria is his last-ditch effort to grow stronger. Aria gets to work and starts slaying monsters left and right. Much to Aiden's surprise, the method worked. His levels start bumping up, but behind his line of sight, the operator's orb has detected him. Aria notices it behind Aiden. While Aiden is looking over his accomplished quest and skill point reward, Aria sneaks away from him and destroys the spying orb. Aiden finally accepts Aria's friend request and his level is all the way up to 30. He started traveling with Aria, even though he's unsure as to why she's so interested in him. He puts the skill points to good use, unlocking the class change skill and turning himself into a player. He wishes he could have been this strong when his sister was alive. While Aiden is lost in his thoughts, he feels something. He rushes off and sees a sealed area in the distance. Aria tells him that it's an area deleted by the admin, and hence abandoned by the system. Aiden decides to go into the bad sector, which excites Aria. She determines that Aiden is indeed unique, as only admins and system operators can pass through bad sectors. The two explore the area and stumble upon a boy. Another man shoots Aiden with an arrow and calls the boy, Henry, back to him. The man then asks how the two got in. He determines that Aiden doesn't have ill intentions, but when he focuses on Aria, he feels an intimidating aura coming from her. While he's obviously distressed, another man shows up, calling him Jake. The man tells Jake that a girl named Helen's disease is getting worse, which prompts him to head back. Aiden and Aria follow him and find the girl bedridden with the disease. An emergency window pops out in front of Aiden, saying that a bug has been found and that his quest is to eliminate it. Jake and Henry are both distressed over Helen's predicament. Aria looks over at Helen and states that it's too late because the illness isn't a disease, but rather a bug. Jake refuses and states that they'd never rebelled against the system, so it couldn't possibly be a bug. Aria explains that there are different types, not just ones you get from rebelling. She further states that it would be best to get away, as the more serious it gets, the more damage it will bring to the surroundings. Aiden gets extremely angry, smashing a crater into the wall when another window appears displaying, "Will you erase the administrator's authority?" Aiden chooses no, when another window appears saying that failing the quest will have a heavy penalty. Enraged, Aiden smashed the window and resolved to get rid of the administrators. He goes over to have a look at Helen and places his hand on her head. He ends up in an area of the system and starts analyzing how he can save the girl from a fatal error. He cuts Helen's links from the system before rewriting its constitution. In the outside world, as soon as Aiden severs everyone's links, the blockade surrounding the area breaks. Aiden opens his eyes and finds a hidden quest clear window pop up. He attains a new delete command key and gains the title of Administrator of Earth's Mountain. He realizes that the person behind the windows is testing him to see what choice he makes. Arius slathers Aiden with healing items when Jake and the rest show up to thank him. A window opens stating that all of them have become free persons. It seems that destroying their link to the bug resulted in them forming a link with him. They're no longer NPCs either. Jake asks Aiden if he's an operator, a top player chosen by the administrator. He isn't, but they ask to follow him either way. While Aiden is wondering how to deal with this, Arius states that he's the one who altered their fates, and he should simply do what he wants. Aiden accepts their request and first gives them food. While the villagers eat, Aiden asks Jake about the area. Jake tells him that it was a beautiful place that players frequently visited before the inspection came up and the area was deleted. The five were the sole survivors due to the help of an anonymous person who disappeared after saving them. Meanwhile, Aria is observing Aiden and Jake from the other floor when she spots a chest. She goes down and asks what's inside. Logan states that it's a combined chest that players can use from anywhere. It seems that the chest is unopenable, so Aiden tries his hand at it. He unlocks it with the admin's authority and finds a whole treasure trove of items. Aiden outfits everyone with upgraded high-end equipment. His upgrade probability is outside system rules, so there isn't any waste of materials either. Taking items from the inventory did mean that those items were taken from the players, but it seems that the system will compensate the players for the system failure, so no harm, no foul. Along with the equipment, he also gained a passive skill called the Cloud System, an always available storage space. He gained it after putting his hand in the empty chest, which led to him being synchronized with the system. Everyone gathers near Aiden asking for orders after thanking him, when Aiden tells the lot that they don't have a reason to listen to him, and they can leave whenever they want. He's worried for everyone because in a few days, the regular inspection will start, which may endanger everyone since Aiden is branded a bug by the admin. Seeing how down everyone is, he tells them that he'll be back and to take care of the place while he's gone. Aria asks Aiden why he left suddenly. He tells her that it's just to level up before the regular inspection since it's the obvious thing to do for a player. Aria stops after hearing this and states that he isn't a player. Aiden is taken aback. Aria laughs it off, saying if he thought he looked like a player. She then reveals that she knew he wasn't a player since she'd seen him in the town where he was deleted. She then tells him that she'll help so he isn't deleted by the admins or system operators. Right before, a window pops up displaying that a temporary inspection is starting within 15 seconds. Before the two can plan, the inspection commences. A light envelops Aiden and he starts floating. Aria tells him not to worry and just wait, right before he's teleported to another area. Aiden oversees a gathering of players when a window welcoming him to the open bulletin board appears. Aiden decides to look for information in the gathering. He observes the players and finds the high-level players are over level 300. He's eavesdropping when he bumps into a player, much to his luck. The guy makes a big deal and Aiden is ready to take a punch to avoid bringing attention to himself. Just when he's about to be punched, a handsome high-level player steps in. He seems to be a part of the Griffin Guild, the most famous of the 5 highest-ranked guilds. Aiden thanks the man as the other arrogant delinquent retreats. The Griffin Guild member is Kevin. Kevin gives Aiden some advice, thinking he's a newbie before asking him if he wants to join their party. Aiden says he won't be of much help to them, so Kevin explains that his party doesn't have an objective. But since there haven't been any updates, fewer new players have been coming up, so new players are normally invited to parties. Kevin sends Aiden a friend request before leaving. Kevin seems to have altered Aiden's perspective of players a bit. Right as Kevin leaves, Arius shows up with the guy who was messing with Aiden, all beaten up. Aria asks Aiden about the place where the system operator, Lloyd, watches from above. In a different place, 3 operators, Mia, Serena, and Xenon, are discussing where Lloyd has disappeared to. All 3 of them have levels above 400, which probably really doesn't spell well for Aiden. Xenon determines that Lloyd has found the bug, so the three switch to a screen to see the situation. Meanwhile, the inspection is ended, and Area has a bad feeling about why it was terminated so suddenly. No sooner is everyone enveloped in light. Area connects the dots and warns Aiden that someone is coming to delete him. She promises to save him right before everyone except Aiden is teleported away. Lloyd approaches Aiden with his system guards and orders them to get rid of him. The guards start attacking Aiden. He takes out a sword and dispatches the first before the bigger one joins the fray. Aiden is being overpowered, so he uses his command skill to double his stats, all of which shoot up to 600. He knocks the giant down before the other smashes him against the wall. Aiden recovers, boosts his stats by 3, and pulverizes both of his opponents. Lloyd approaches Aiden from behind, saying that he's less than impressed over Aiden's level, deeming it unnecessary for him to have come all this way. Aiden looks back and is promptly lifted off his feet. Lloyd uses a system operator's exclusive skill to delete the bug. A pillar of light envelops Aiden, but he fights back, believing it to be nothing compared to the admin he faced on the day he lost his sister. Aiden deflects Lloyd's skill, which notifies him that the authority isn't high enough to delete Aiden. The operators view the scenario playing out and are equally surprised to see that the bug has admin authority. Even though Aiden got out of that pickle, he still understands that he's not in a condition where he'll be able to win. At the same time, Lloyd is determined that he must destroy Aiden before the admin finds out. The operators are looking forward to seeing Lloyd in his enforcer mode. Aiden has a first-hand experience of Lloyd in this form, clad in Imperial armor. Lloyd attacks and cleaves the ground, but Aiden manages to absorb the attack using his inventory skill. Lloyd brings his blade to Aiden's neck and asks how he managed to gain admin rights, offering mercy depending on his answer. Aiden doesn't fall for it and uses his warehouse skill to teleport away, but not before warning Lloyd he'll be back for him. Aiden spawns out of a chest in another area, shocking the players around him. He's relieved to be alive. Meanwhile, Lloyd tells the other operators that he'll have to chase after the bug. Mia refuses to be a part of it since she already has her hands full with the warehouse bug issue. She leaves the others and walks out, only to find herself approached by Area. In Mekana City, Aiden is trying to get in touch with Area to no avail. He's currently on the run from the system operator while using the cloud and can't wait there for Area any longer. Aiden heads out to the slums to find a hiding place while avoiding all the surveillance drones. While on the run, Aiden sees a trail of golden fragments, which leads him to a dead end. He touches the wall and finds the entrance to a hidden location. Aiden unlocks the entrance using admin privileges, and a warning is displayed, stating that the area is not protected by the system. The perfect place for someone running the system in the first place. Aiden enters a light hallway and finds a gaunt woman. She runs away as soon as she notices him and screams to the others that there's an intruder. Aiden is immediately attacked by a mage named Sari. Aiden deflects the attacks but reads their statuses to determine that they're all bugs. Aiden tries to explain the misunderstanding, but the NPCs refuse to listen. Sari says that the area is personally made by Master Sirius and that no one could enter unless they had admin rights. Right as Sari proclaims that she can't let Aiden leave, the disembodied voice of Sirius tells the people that Aiden isn't the enemy. He commands that Aiden be brought to him. Sari obediently guides Aiden. On the way, he asks her how they survived the inspection and learns that it was Sirius who saved everyone. Sari takes Aiden through the hallway before he stood face to face with Sirius, an enormous dragon. Awestruck, Aiden examines Sirius's status window and finds that he's a guardian. Dragons have existed since the days of creation and were legendary beings. Sirius knows of Aiden's admin status after having delved into his memories using the skill Dragon's Eye. He expresses his relief over the fact that Aiden has the admin's ability to cure bugs. Sirius transforms into a human and asks Aiden to listen to his request. A guest window appears and Aiden decides to listen to the request before making his decision. Sirius asks Aiden whether he can heal everyone and take them to his village. He then reveals that he may not be able to protect the NPCs any longer because of the massive bug embedded in his chest. He promises to give Aiden his star if he saves everyone. Sari, having overheard everything, steps in angry that Sirius would offer that to to him. Sirius tries to make Sari understand the gravity of the situation when Aiden steps in, saying he doesn't need the star. He intends to get rid of the bug either way. Aiden enters the realm of the system and gets to work severing everyone's links. The last one he goes for is Sirius, but the bug seems to be stronger and more widely spread in him. As Aiden slashes at the bug, it retaliates and tries to overtake him as well, but Aiden overpowers it. He reappears near everyone and tells them the good news. As the people rejoice, an ominous figure appears from a rift. The being is a virus of the system. Sirius recognizes the virus from his past, having fought its way back. The virus mocks Sirius from thinking it would disappear just from their battle. Sirius is enraged and begins transforming while the virus mocks him for being angry when it was the administrators and operators who were behind the deletion. Stating that there's no need for the dragon anymore, the virus approaches Aiden and hits him with a purple beam, beginning an infection. Sirius tries to intervene, but the virus sends forth a burst of power and the system starts collapsing. All the NPCs are infected as the virus intends to overtake everything, but Aiden starts resisting the infection. The virus mocks Aiden for trying to resist before telling him that it's impossible to resist without the firewall, so he should simply accept the darkness. Aiden is enveloped in darkness but suddenly sees light, the same golden light that's been guiding him all this time. The light gains a human form and touches Aiden's cheek, having taken the form of his sister, Alice. Aiden breaks out of the darkness, much to the virus's surprise. A new system has been constructed by Aiden, and he uses the delete command on the virus. The firewall has been re-implemented by Aiden across the area, protecting everyone from the threat. The virus starts ominously laughing as it disappears, saying that they finally found someone who can become an administrator. It promises to make Aiden his before being removed by Aiden's power. Sirius approaches Aiden and tells him that they must clean the remaining pools of the infection. As he summons his power, he's pierced in multiple places by the virus. It reappears and states that he forgot to mention that his specialty was rapid self-replication, a truly threatening power. Aiden summons his sword and cuts the tendrils, piercing Sirius. While Sari looks after the wounded dragon, Aiden asks the virus how he's still alive. The virus mocks Aiden in response, stating that it isn't the first time it's been deleted, and that it's impossible for an administrator to completely get rid of him. Aiden starts spamming his delete command, but the virus keeps replicating and eventually breaks Aiden's sword. He realizes that the player equipment is useless against anything that isn't a monster. After destroying a bunch of his equipment, the virus finally decides to stop toying around and intends to eat Aiden whole. At the same time, Siri is unable to heal Sirius, so he decides to give Aiden his star. Having been swallowed by the virus, Aiden tries to find a way to escape when his hand drifts to the hammer Alice left behind, the only piece of equipment that wasn't destroyed. Aiden wields the hammer and uses his delete skill, which finally gets through. Aiden breaks out of the darkness and the virus realizes that the hammer he wields must be a weapon authorized as an administrator. As the virus is about to attack again, Master Sirius's star floats in front of Aiden and Sari asks him to use it. Aiden smashes the star with his hammer and suddenly gains Aiden's sword of execution. Aiden starts slicing into the virus, who's unable to recover due to the power of the sword. The virus tries to retaliate, but Aiden uses the delete command, amplified with the blade's power, and destroys the virus, along with a large portion of the surroundings. The sword turns back into the hammer and Aiden rests on his knees. In another area, a mysterious man realizes that one of his clones have disappeared. He then glimpses into a crack to see Aiden beating his clone. The man is a virus named Worm, who intends to topple the administrator. Worm has barely finished the thought when Mia steps in with a massive attack. Worm is quite surprised to see that Mia found him, but taunts her on whether she'll be okay without an administrator backing her. Mia got information on the virus from Area, and she intends to take down Worm. A massive battle ensues. Worm seems to gain the upper hand, trapping Mia in darkness, but Mia quickly breaks out and her flames turn from red to blue. Sirius seems to be on his last breaths as he remembers when the administrator had him chained and bound. Sirius tries to stand up against the administrator, rebelling because innocent people were being deleted. He's angry at the admin for forsaking the people he used to protect and asks him why he did what he did. The administrator replies that as the system updates, the viruses increase as well. He'll continue to delete any NPC that violates the system to avoid the spread of the virus, even going so far as to ban Sirius from the system, deeming him a potential threat. Sirius's struggles were futile, and he was banned from the system. He spent a long time in his cage when a young girl came, along with other humans, bringing offerings. The young orphan girl was given the name Siri by the dragon. Sirius had raised Siri and sent her off to the humans when she got older, but much to his dismay, the virus attacked again. It corrupted and planted more viruses in Sirius, using him as a vessel before disappearing. An inspection started soon after, and the system guards began deleting the area Sirius had grown so fond of. Unable to stand it, Sirius used his power to teleport Siri and the others away. Sirius was given his name by the administrator. Siri teleports Aiden close to his village. She thanks him with tears in her eyes for saving everyone and deleting Sirius before he transformed into a virus. Siri and the 50 people decided to follow Aiden to Earth's village. While traveling, Aiden asks Siri about the star. She doesn't know what it is exactly, but she does know that it was the source of Sirius's power and was very important to him. There also happens to be more than one present in the world. Aiden's admin privileges rose after absorbing the star as well. He realizes he couldn't have beaten the virus without this power. Everyone arrives at Aiden's dilapidated village, and the 5 original people show up to greet Aiden. Much to Aiden's surprise, Arya is there as well. Siri immediately notices Arya's aura and determines that she must be stronger than her master Sirius. Aiden asks Arya where she'd been, but she avoids the question, and no time passes when Mia suddenly falls down from the sky. Panic ensues as the players fear the operator's arrival while Aiden has his hand on his hammer. The worry was all for naught though, as Mia starts crying and hugs Arya because she lost the virus. Seeing the confusion on Aiden's face, Arya introduces Mia to him as one of the people she trusts the most. Everyone gathers inside a house and Aiden voices his mistrust of the operator. Mia refutes it, saying that it's their job to protect the world from the bugs. Mia tries to justify herself, saying that deleting bugs is the only way, to which Aiden asks her why he's able to cure them then. Mia is shocked at his words and states that even the admin couldn't do that. Arya calms the two down before asking Aiden if he wants to become a proper administrator. She believes it's necessary that he does. Arya's words confuse Aiden immensely and asks Arya what her goal is. She says that she aims to take down the current administrator. Arya states that their goals are the same and asks him whether he'll cooperate. Arya reveals that she has a penalty from the administrator, so she can't use most of the system and needs his help. Aiden refrains from asking more questions. Arya explains that for Aiden to truly become an administrator, he needs to create his own content. To do that, he'll need to experience all of this world's content. Mia doesn't seem too keen on the idea of making Aiden an admin, but she chooses to listen to Arya. During the conversation, Logan shows up and asks Aiden if he can bring more food for the new people who showed up. Aiden uses his warehouse skill in view of Mia, who starts remembering the trauma that Aiden made her go through because of all the complaints she had faced because of items disappearing from the combined inventory. She bites Aiden hard before beating him up for being the culprit. Later at night, Arya tells Aiden that the first step is to divert the operator's attention elsewhere. She already performed that step, but wouldn't tell him just yet. Arya mentions that other beings threaten this world, which lead Aiden to mention the viruses. He tells Arya that he fought the viruses before coming here, shocking Arya. Hearing that, she quickly starts inspecting him for any sign of infection before Aiden tells her to calm down. Aiden tells her that he deleted the virus back then, leading her to believe that he might be able to become an administrator. He talks to her about innocent NPCs being deleted and refuses to forgive of the administrator even if he had no choice but to delete them. Aiden resolves to take on the role of administrator to replace both the current administrator and the virus with a new system. Happy with Aiden's decision, Arya tells him that the next thing he must do is decide on the operators to keep track of the information the system sends. She wants to be his first operator. The operators have been gathered for an emergency meeting by Mia to discuss how she's found the main body of the worm virus. The operators are alarmed at the revelation, considering that Worm causes the most damage with his self-replicating ability. Mia tells the others that he's hiding in the bad sector, and they have to give chase. The administrator has been informed of the situation as well. As the operators are discussing the new information, the guardian god, Procyon, appears along with the administrator himself. As Aiden is contemplating Arya's proposal, a window pops up with the option to designate Arya as his operator. Thinking of the time they've spent together, Aiden presses yes. He's notified that Arya is now his operator. Arya gives him a hard hug, which prompts Aiden to look at her status window. He tries to open the previously encrypted window with his administrator power, but an error pops up stating that his request to view her stats was blocked by another administrator. The next day, Jake and Sari inform Aiden that they intend to head out to examine a dungeon near the village, which seems to have caused an increase in the number of monsters appearing. Arya appears and asks Aiden if he's going to the dungeon too. It was more of a rhetorical question since she forces him to go in the end. At the entrance of the dungeon, Arya explains the workings of a dungeon and how everyone must prepare instead of entering without a care in the world. Arya then tells Aiden that his admin skills are prohibited inside the dungeon from now on because he needs the experience to get stronger along with Jake and Sari. The four enter the dungeon and Aiden realizes how difficult the dungeon truly is. Arya, on the other hand, is breezing through. She is impressed that the three have leveled close to 50 though. It's a unique feeling leveling up for Sari and Jake, who were previously NPCs. They reach an ominous-looking door and everyone but Arya is nervous to enter. Jake asks what will happen to them if they die, since previously the NPCs would be revived upon death. Arya tells him not to worry as the system's defense, protection, is being used, which plays the role of blocking external attacks and preventing death. If someone dies, they'd move to a designated village. With those words, the three prepare to enter the door, and immediately they're thrown back to Ert's village after being killed in a huge attack. Arya explains that the skill is called the Devastator, which some bosses have. She tells Aiden that they'll need to develop a strategy for the boss if they want to win. Aiden formulates his strategy, and the three eventually defeat the boss to clear the Ert's Mine dungeon. The three are rewarded with magic stones of gold. Aiden feels relieved that everyone should be able to feed themselves even without him. Arya congratulates him before taking him away to the dungeon where Aiden had previously gone. He's a bit worried that he'll have to face a guard like before. Arya leads him to a dungeon keeper, saying it's the reason she was gone before. Arya explains that the guards erase bugs that appear in most dungeons and stop the monsters from going outside. Realizing that he'd killed one before, Aiden asks what happens if a dungeon keeper is defeated. Arya tells him that there isn't anything to worry about as the system will have other monsters. Arya tells him that right now as an administrator, he's also a dungeon keeper. She tells him to start changing things slowly. Aiden goes forward and touches the inactive dungeon guard, and he's recognized as the new administrator, gaining control of the area. Aiden then tells Arya that he needs to find more system operators who he can trust other than her. She asks him if anything is bothering him, and her worry leads her to ask if he doesn't trust her yet. She seems upset and guilty about it when Aiden clears up the misunderstanding, saying that he wants her to experience everything with him instead of staying here. He intends to have them find another star like the one obtained from Sirius, and Arya rejoices at his words. Back at the village, Sari and Jake are in shock as Aiden wants them to become system operators. He believes that they're the most trusted in the village, so after some convincing by Aiden and Arya, the two agree to take on the role. Meanwhile, in the cracks of the system, Worm has gathered the other viruses. He tells the others about how they'll be found soon, and his clones being rapidly defeated. He tells everyone to stay in hiding instead of looking for a certain someone. Instead, Worm shows the viruses a more interesting being, namely Aiden. Arya has been hard at work training Sari and Jake, but they've been trained to be operators to keep the village out of the public eye. Aiden thanks Arya for her hard work, as now he can safely move out of hiding to focus on becoming an administrator. As he's thinking of his next steps, a window pops up stating that a tutorial milestone is now complete. The real battle begins now. Aiden and Arya head out when he receives a voice message from Kevin, the member of the Griffin Guild. Aiden accepts, and Kevin tells him that he needs help with a new recruit. He agrees to help Kevin, even though Arya isn't on board with the idea of him helping someone else when she's around, but he convinces her otherwise. In Duntown City, Aiden and Arya meet up with Kevin, who ends up developing a super crush on Arya at first sight. While Kevin is asking Aiden about Arya, she intends to find out about Kevin's true intentions for approaching Aiden. Kevin introduces Aiden to the newbies before explaining that they'll be going to get the field boss, a troll-type monster wielding a spiked club. The team heads to Troll Canyon to have the new players train. Kevin intends to let them hunt while he watches over, but another party shows up, claiming the hunting spot as their own. The new players try to argue, but the leader of the delinquents shuts them down arrogantly, which prompts Kevin to step in. The man refuses to back down and orders his lackeys to drive everyone away. As soon as one touches Aiden, he loses it and punches him into oblivion, stating that it's first come, first serve. The rest of the lackeys attack Aiden, who quickly dispatches them, one after the other, before the boss delinquent shows up with a level of 120. He introduces himself as the next head of the Hydra Guild, one of the top 5. Kevin unsheathes his sword, warning him not to take a step further, but Aiden stops Kevin, saying he'll handle it. Aiden mocks the leader and a fight ensues, with the leader wreaking havoc. Aiden smoothly dodges all of his attacks using his status increase skill before punching his opponent in the face and knocking him out in a single blow. The others quickly retreat, seeing their boss defeated. Kevin apologizes to Aiden for not stepping in immediately because he had to think of his guild and the karma penalty he could have sustained. On the other hand, Aiden isn't worried that his karma increased to 17. Meanwhile, the Hydra leader has a bruised ego after being transported to a village and intends to make Aiden pay. Little does he know, Arya is observing him from above. Aiden helps the newbies take down the boss before being asked by Kevin if he wants to join the Griffin Guild. He says that becoming a member would grant him protection from the Hydra Guild if it opts to take revenge. At the Hydra Guild's 13th branch, the defeated leader is getting a tongue lashing from his superior for losing to a newbie. But the superior still allows him to take guys to get revenge. All seems well and good for the hoodlums before Arya shows up in the room. The guild members surround Arya in a rush, while the head of the branch seems confident. That doesn't quite work, as she makes short work of the level 100 players, forcing the branch manager to move himself. He takes out a huge sword and attacks Arya. An important figure hears a noise and asks an attendant how many intruders there are. He's enraged when he's told that there's only one and barges into the battlefield. He's the elder member of the guild, Sir Yvonne. Arya is less than impressed with Yvonne's aura, so the latter gets serious. He attacks Arya with magic, which she takes head-on before grabbing Yvonne by the face. She tells him to tell his guild leader that if they irritate her again, she'll erase the entire Hydra Guild. Arya leaves the branch in ruins, and the beaten Yvonne's level has decreased from 230 to 220. He intends to make Aiden pay for the humiliation, which doesn't seem like quite the smart move, all things considered. Back in Duntown City, Aiden has decided not to join the Griffin Guild. Kevin accepts Aiden's answer and tells him that he can contact him for help whenever he needs it. Arya shows up, and when asked where she was, she tells him that she was simply taking care of the Hydra Guild so they wouldn't target him. Aiden overhears a few passers-by talking about how the Hydra Guild stronghold was destroyed by a rancor. Aiden gives Arya a pendant that functions as a communication device and tracker, telling her to tell him next time instead of disappearing. Arya is more than happy with the gift. The operators are done with the meeting when Xenon comes up to Mia, asking that he may have the main body of the worm. He's upset that he lost and talks about how there aren't many operators left that can face the worm virus alone. Mia tries to leave after he's said that, but he questions her about why she didn't report it to the administrator first. Mia tries to justify herself, saying that the information may not have been accurate, but Xenon presses on, asking her if she was working with someone. This enrages Mia, who doesn't like being tested. Xenon states that it's a verification process and reminds her that it's his responsibility to rule out any internal risks. Having restated his purpose, he asks Mia to answer the question. He then accuses her of following the path of Arya, the traitor. Enraged at his words, Mia attacks him head-on, but before the fight can escalate, Procyon intervenes. Procyon warns the two to step back. The two operators disengage, and Xenon tells Mia to watch what she does, as he doesn't want her as an enemy. Mia doesn't intend to forget what happened today. At the city, Aiden tells Arya about the guild offer and his subsequent refusal. She tells him that it's all right to be in a guild, especially since she knows the Griffin Guild Master personally. She tells him that she can call the guild master if Aiden wants to join, but Aiden instead states that they should form their own guild. Back at Earth's village, Aiden has guided Sari to begin work on the guild hall upon Arya's guidance. It's necessary for a guild to have a guild hall. While the two wait for the hall to be made, Arya proposes to go to the challenge tower. The rules of the tower are that you must catch a monster at each floor to proceed to the next one. There are rewards for clearing the stages, and some players come to set records, but right now, Arya wants Aiden to experience the content. She also asks to see his class skills, as the tower can be enjoyed regardless of level, and focuses more on skills. Aiden opens up his skill bar only for Arya to see that every single one of his skills is maxed out. Aiden just assumed that everyone had max skills, so he doesn't get why Arya is so surprised. She connects the dots and understands how Aiden is so strong, even with his relative low level. She believes that he'll most certainly become an administrator at this pace, and tells him they won't need to strategize with his current skill set. The two enter the tower and start making quick work of the monsters, while Arya observes. They've climbed up halfway to the 25th floor without breaking a sweat. The two climb up further and eventually reach the 49th floor, even with the monsters getting incomparably harder. On the 49th floor, a particularly difficult boss shows up, so Aiden buffs himself with strengthening and haste before destroying the boss with a single punch. He moves on to the last floor to face the final boss. The mage-like boss invokes debuffs, increasing the effectiveness of Aiden's skills, but he activates his status resistance skill to remove the debuff. With the boss's best skill neutralized, Aiden makes short work of him, defeating the boss and clearing the tower. Having defeated the boss, a portal shows up. Arya congratulates Aiden for making it to the top on his first try. He asks her what the portal is, but Arya says she can't see anything where he's pointing. It seems that he's the only one who can see it. Aiden is transported through the portal before he can complete his train of thought. Aiden ends up in an area that looks a lot like the inner part of the system, being able to observe players in the tower outside the normal dimension. While drifting, he ends up near a door with blue light that reminds him of Sirius. A quest event titled The Forgotten Ones pops up when he approaches the door. Arya suddenly reaches out through the June pendant Aiden had given her. She's relieved to see that he's fine, but she tells him that breaking through to get to him may attract too much attention. Aiden tells her not to worry, as he has something he needs to do. Having said that, he opens the door and finds still beasts everywhere. A voice tells him that they can't move because they weren't able to update. A robot High Guard drifts in front of them. The High Guard states that no one but the administrator should be able to enter, and he activates the lifeless beasts surrounding Aiden, ruling him to be an intruder. The beasts attack and Aiden retaliates, pulling out his executioner blade. The High Guard remembers when he was first activated by the administrator a long time ago. He was tasked with watching over the tower by a person who seemed more human compared to the current administrator. The guard intends to protect his position until he fulfills his mission. Aiden is attacked from all sides, but he defeats the beasts in quick succession before facing the High Guard. More monsters show up and Aiden feels exhausted already due to the high energy consumption of the blade. The guard recognizes the threat of the sword and Aiden ups his stats by 3 to face him. Lights bounce around as Aiden weaves through debris before attacking the guard head-on. He breaks through his shield and pierces the guard through his torso, breaking him in half. The guard was made for the system, and he'll follow his mission till the end. With that final thought, the guard slips into darkness, only to be woken up again after Aiden performs an upgrade. The guard awakens to a humanoid body and a new master. Sometime after defeating the guard, Aiden found a core in its remains. He called Arya and told her to go to Duntown to ask her something. The two met at a tavern where Arya tells Aiden about the guard's core and the power of high-ranked guards. She assumes that the core was left behind because it was unable to update. Numerous beings have been forgotten as they've been unable to update, and Arya believes that the problem won't be solved unless the administrator changes. Having heard Arya's thoughts, Aiden comes to the conclusion that if he updates everything, the problem will be solved. His first aim is to go about with updating the High Guard. Aiden enters the system and connects with the core. A new body starts forming, and he names him Theodore. Theodore, the High Guard, kneels in front of Aiden and thanks him for updating him before swearing fealty to his new administrator. A rift opens in another place by a virus trying to escape. He's running from the administrator, but not far enough. The admin has already destroyed hundreds of replications, and the one trying to run faces permanent deletion as well. As the virus is destroyed, a giant one appears from the ground to face the administrator. It attacks the admin with everything it has, bent on erasing its foe. When the dust settles, Procyon appears in front of the virus, having shielded the administrator. She takes out her spear, Procyon's judgment, but the administrator tells her to step back. The admin removes his mask and uses a block command to seal the giant virus. Feeling the threat, the virus disperses into multiple beings trying to escape, but to no avail. The administrator seals them off before deleting them permanently. In another space, Worm has suffered heavy damage from the erasure of his clones. Procyon asks the administrator if he's okay before calling him by his name, Aster. Aster leaves the area to unwind before he receives Xenon's classified reports. The reports showcase Mia's suspicious behavior, leading Aster to deduce that she may have met Arya. The reports also mention Aiden. Aster remembers deleting the boy back then, and he's confused as to how he survived and gained the administrator's powers. Aster surmises that he must take action and begins a command to search for Aiden, but access is denied. The information that appears shows that Aiden's rank is 2nd. Aster sits at the 3rd rank, while Arya is at the 4th. The topmost rank isn't identified. Aster summons Procyon after mentioning the name Trojan. He tells her that they must secure Aiden without him noticing. Aiden, Arya, and Theodore are traveling near Ertz with Theodore. Aiden finds Theodore's butler instincts to be a bit annoying, but Arya explains that he simply wants to please his master after being unattended for so long. She tells him that the demonic beasts are part of the system too, leading Aiden to conclude that the beasts being a threat to the system is also a lie. Arya states that the beasts are no more than equipped players to grow. The only true threat to a player's or NPC's life is being deleted or getting infected by a virus. Aiden is lost in thought as the three finally reach Ertz village. Aiden meets the children before Jake and Sari show up from a dungeon. They ask about Theodore, who introduces himself to the operators. Aiden tells everyone how he came to meet Theodore before asking Sari and Jake about what's been happening. He's told that the players visited the village and traded a few items before taking up quests. Aiden realizes that he can't completely block access to the village, and they'll have to think about players visiting from now on. Aiden then decides to test his new command. All the villagers follow him outside so he can test out his copy command and implement new content. Aiden enters the system and begins making a copy of the tower challenge. He improves the look of the tower and names it the Tower of Trial. The exhausted Aiden catches his breath as the villagers look at the magnificent tower. Aiden assigns Theodore as the tower's administrator and commands him to watch over the people as well before collapsing in Arya's arms. Word of Ertz village has spread among the players, even a few unsavory types. A group of players head out to the village and find the Tower of Trials. They're especially surprised at the update as no announcement has been made. The players explore the village, seeing the amazing weapons and materials everywhere. They end up in a weapon shop and ask the blacksmiths about the price of the materials. The blacksmiths ask for food in return for equipment. The young players are quick to get the required ingredients while the mature players realize that something is amiss, considering no quest came up. Meanwhile, the two hoodlums from Aiden's past show up and start making a mess in one of the houses while looking for the material. Logan confronts the player who retaliates by grabbing Logan by the neck. He's about to punch Logan when Sari appears, enraged. Aiden awakes to find Arya next to him. Aiden had previously given moderator permissions to Sari, Jake, and Arya, so they're able to access the clouds and thus the items he collects. Everyone surrounds Aiden as he leaves the house, relieved to see him all right when Sophia rushes forward. She tells Aiden about the player that's causing a ruckus. Aiden hurries to the house, only to find that Sari has thoroughly beaten him up. The player recognizes Aiden as the blacksmith from his past. He takes out a weapon to attack Aiden for having destroyed his equipment way back, but instead gets beaten down by Jake. Aiden then proceeds to run the two off and blacklist them. Sari says that it won't be long before operators hear about the village as well, so they need to formulate a plan. Aiden decides to try to get more players to visit so the operators are unable to get rid of the village. He then proceeds to bring all his villagers to the system space to share his strength with everyone. A few days have passed and we see Aiden, Arya, and Theo surveying the tower's outskirts from their screens, satisfied that it is doing the job of gathering players. Theo then takes them across the tower, showing the new updates and differences from the old Tower of Challenge, with things like Survivor Mode, puzzle sections, and bonus rewards. Despite this, Aiden still wants to gather more players to ensure Earth's Village's relevance, and so comes up with a plan based on what players want most: experience. Using his admin abilities, he creates a new event, providing 2 times the experience and rewards for those players exploring the Tower of Trials. All the players around the game hear this news, excited and shocked by this new event that appeared with no warning. At the Hydra Guild headquarters, an executive meeting was being held where the guild leader Douglas demanded an explanation from Yvonne as to what happened in Dawntown. But the meeting was interrupted by the information that new content appeared in form of Earth's Village. Douglas realizes that the guild needs to acquire the place immediately or risk one of its rivals securing the spot. As Douglas becomes the only one left in the room, a strange shadow appears and the shadow takes the form of a virus named Regen. But the more shocking fact is that Douglas seems familiar with him. Regen realizes that the current administrator is incapable of making new content and concludes that it must be the work of the guy Worm warned him of. Interested in capturing him, he orders Douglas to send their collaborative product, the Cheat Players, after Aiden, despite his protests, confident that the moderators are too busy to realize anything until it's too late. In the meeting place of the moderators, the members are shocked to discover that Mia is leaving her duties as a moderator, as the reason for her staying was due to Arya. As she is about to depart, Xenon, the other moderator, stops her as he has orders from the administrator that Mia is not to leave because of her ties to Arya, resulting in a battle. As the other moderators follow them, Selena stays behind, claiming that she'd only get in the way. As she is left alone, she smirks to herself and her halo emits a purple glow, akin to the virus colors. Meanwhile, the fight between Mia and Xenon continues to escalate as blade and fire clash. The other moderators arrive, shocked at the power being displayed. Duke is dismayed to learn the other moderators are taking Xenon's side. As the battle rages, Lloyd tries to sneak attack Mia, but she easily blocks it. Mia is disappointed at Lloyd's betrayal, but Lloyd replies, "Stepping into the Forbidden Zone is a serious crime. It could cause grave chaos if you were to help someone like that." Angered, Mia punches Lloyd in the gut, hurling him away and nearly knocking him out. Upset at the accusations against her sister, Mia says that all Arya did was for the administrator and that she will no longer go easy on them. Lloyd is trembling at the sheer power Mia has, wondering how they can even restrain her. The moderator, Isabel, tries to launch a sneak attack, but it was easily deflected. All the while, Duke is worried about Mia's state of emotions and the sheer difference in power between her and the others. Lloyd and Isabel try to team up and take Mia down, with Isabel fighting because she is eager to take on the strongest moderator, to which Mia retorts that the title belongs to her big sister. Lloyd and Isabel join together to land a blow through a combination of Isabel's rapid-fire attacks to distract Mia while Lloyd strikes her with a massive spear, but it seems to have had no effect. As she prepares a ball of fire to destroy them, Xenon appears and slices it in half. He admits to Mia that her strength has far exceeded from when she first joined as moderator and that he cannot bear her as is. Mia remarks that Xenon is finally going to get serious. Xenon seems to be disappointed with this, as that power was not meant to be used. This was but the administrator's orders are absolute. His armor disappears, and within it is a tired young man with messy black hair and red horns. Though the impressive feat was the jump from Xenon's level from 450 to 500. The scene shifts back to Aiden, who is happily smashing away enemies in the Tower of Tria's new sandbox mode. His level is now reaching 250. Theo asks him to take a break, but Aiden still has the energy to keep going. As the discussion was going on, Arya appears that there have been no response from Mia so far and tells Aiden she needs to go. As soon as she leaves, Sari calls Aiden, letting him know that a large number of new players are appearing, but not just any players, but ones from a major guild. The scene shifts back to the fight between Mia and Xenon, and Isabel is shocked to discover the sheer power he was hiding the entire time, and that he was a Draconian like her. Xenon suddenly vanishes, appearing behind Mia, slicing the mountain in half and nearly cutting her as well. He strikes again, actually injuring her, and just when he has her on the ropes, Mia summons her bound weapon, 2 giant gauntlets to her side, blasting him with blue fire and then hitting him from above with the armored fists, cracking the ground in the process. Isabel says that she should summon his bound weapon, but he stands there in a stance, holding his sheathed blade. As Mia is about to pounce, Xenon strikes at her several times, faster than anyone could see, beating Mia and revoking her authority as a moderator. Just as he is about to restrain her, lightning flashes and blasts, blocking Xenon's view, and what he sees next is Mia being carried by the notorious traitor Arya. Arya apologizes to Mia for not noticing sooner and tells her to rest. Xenon tries to strike at her to no avail, shocked at why she has most of her abilities and skills that were blocked by the system. Arya tries to leave with Mia peacefully, but Xenon tells the moderators to unleash their bound weapons, as Arya is none other than the administrator of Genesis and once had authority equal to the administrator. Eager to test herself against Arya, Isabel attempts to strike first, but Arya gut punches her away, knocking her out in one hit. Lloyd tries to attack her, but she easily dodges them all and beats him with the Thunderbolt ability, an intermediate magic attack. Xenon attempts to strike her with the same technique he used against Arya, but all that results is a broken blade. Xenon is furious at Arya for returning here, as she was supposed to be the antivirus, and if she had done her role properly, Aster would not have changed. As they were about to clash, a blue-haired figure appears before them, and that figure was none other than the administrator. Mia is suddenly in a forest, having traveled there via a portal. Tired and injured, she cannot stop, and she must relay information to a certain someone. Back at Earth's village, the peace is interrupted by the rumbling arrival of the Hydra Guild. The Vice Guildmaster is disappointed by the size of the village, and amused at how easily they will capture it. Yes, as he says this, he is informed of a lone figure approaching them. Theo stands before the army, and the Vice Guildmaster tells him to get lost or be destroyed. Theo then blasts away at the army, grabs the leader by the throat, and declares them threats to the village. Aiden stops him so that he can hear what they have to say. Realizing that he cannot beat them in a fight, he attempts to trick them by saying that he is simply here to set up a base and discuss the benefits that a major guild would bring to their village. Aiden of course sees through the ruse and mocks his flimsy attempts. Angered at this, he commands his army to strike and ransack the village of all it's worth. A flashback takes place where Aiden has an idea on how to deal with them based on Hydra's negative reputation. With his command ability, he creates a new event wherein he rewards a 10-hour, 3 times experience boost to players that beat any Hydra Guild members for attacking the village. Exhausted from this, Aiden looks to see the fruits of his labor when massive amounts of players appear at the entrance to the village. The players clash with the Hydra members, killing quite a few of them. However, the tide quickly shifts as the surprise wears off. Aiden decides to involve himself and summons a bow he has crafted for a test drive. The Vice Guildmaster finds himself shot in the shoulder with an execution arrow that ignores all defense, Noticing Aiden's involvement, he commands his army to strike at him, but Aiden easily fires at them and beats the Vice Guildmaster, turning the tide. Noting this, the army turns back and retreats, thus warning all of what would happen if anyone attacks Earth's village. Only 2 figures remain, and their strength is of another level, easily rivaling a Ranker. As they destroy most of the player army, Aiden receives a warning of the new threats and gets the option to execute emergency maintenance. Figuring that these two are likely related to the virus, he decides to take care of them now and activates emergency maintenance. The 2 enemies are surprised to be in a maintenance zone, wondering if the administrator is involved. Sari informs Aiden that the players and villagers are safely relocated, allowing Aiden to fight unabated. Aiden launches himself at one of the enemies, surprising him, but the attack did not have much effect, while Theo is handling the other opponent. At that time, Aiden's opponent tried to punch him, but Aiden grabbed his fist with ease, refusing to let go thanks to his stat increase ability. With one punch to the gut, the enemy passes out, and Aiden sees that Theo has handled the other with similar ease. While Aiden initially considered deleting them, he realized that it would make him no different than the administrator. Instead, he travels into the data zone and severs their connection to the player's server, leaving them as NPCs. As Aiden plans an interrogation, a mysterious voice appears and he vanishes to the anti-debugging zone. The voice explains that this place prevents the use of commands and weakens the firewalls, leaving him helpless. The voice takes shape and it's the virus Regen, who realizes that Aiden is the key to surpassing even the legendary Trojan. As he moves to remove the firewall, he is suddenly cut in half by a glowing spear belonging to the right hand of the administrator, Procyon. The scene shifts back to Earth's village, where the moderators are freaking out over Aiden's sudden capture, only for Procyon to suddenly appear and creates a portal where Aiden last was. Before she heads in, she stares intensely at Sari, noting a blue glow in her soul. Sari notices that her magic power is similar to Sir Cyrus's and reminisces about when the two discussed his family. Sirius noting that there are only 2 other dragons beside himself. Back at the virus zone, Aiden escapes Regen's hold and wonders how to escape. Procyon notes the arrogance of Regen's actions and prepares to delete him, and a fight starts. Realizing that a head-on fight is too risky, he uses his special ability of concealment, preparing to strike. However, he did not count on Procyon's exclusive skill Dragon Eyes, which allowed her to deflect his surprise attack and ultimately finishing him off with ease. Aiden is awed by the sight and wonders if she is related to Sirius just before Procyon points her spear at his neck and tells him to come with her as the administrator wishes to meet him. A portal opens somewhere in the virus world, and it appears that Regen has survived, though barely, as he is only half ahead. As he is dying, the virus worm spots him, mocking his arrogance and considers leaving him to die. Just then, another virus, Beetlejuice, telling him to fix Regen with his multiplication power. Worm repairs his body, and Beetlejuice warns the other 2 to play it safe for now. His thoughts, however, are of needing a little more time before he is finally able to free the administrator. The maintenance zone disappears over Earth's village, and with its departure came Aiden and Procyon. The moderators are shocked to find Procyon's spear at Aiden's throat. Procyon is considering the threat that Aiden poses as a potential virus, what with the fact that he has survived deletion and is of a higher number than Aster. Using Dragon's Eye, Procyon is shocked at how similar he feels to Aster. Noticing her examination, Aiden uses his power to deny her access, pushing back Procyon's power. Suddenly, Theo rushes to defend Aiden, though he doubts how long he can hold her. Procyon is impressed with the strength and dedication of Aiden's allies. Aiden notes Procyon's closeness to the administrator and says that she should well know that he has no desire to humor the man who murdered his sister. As the 3 prepare for a clash, Mia suddenly appears, asking for a bit of time. The scene's now of Aria, restrained and surrounded by Aster's moderators, while the man himself sits in front of her. Aster discusses that while he regrets the measures, the usage of the forbidden command Restore could risk total annihilation and should be used by no one. He orders her to go back to following his orders, but Aria makes it clear that she is Aiden's moderator and easily eventually breaks out of her restraints. Aster notes the danger of following such an unknown factor, how he could very well be a virus, and let her know that Procyon is bringing him here. Arya notes with humor that it's about time and lets her brother know that she will make sure he is the administrator no longer. Back at the village, Procyon notes Mia's situation, and Aiden eavesdrops on the fact that Arya has been taken. Mia tries to convince her to stop, but it was the mention that Aiden can heal bugs that gave her pause. With this, she wonders if it is possible that Aiden can restore Aster to before. Mia hands Arya's amulet to Aiden and lets him know that she's asking him to wait for her. Procyon tells Aiden that the others will be after him, so his best bet is to go with her, and Aiden agrees on the condition that she doesn't expect him to play nice with the administrator. In the virus dimension, an army is gathering to prepare for invasion. The virus regen notes the difficulty of the task, but Worm brings out a surprise in the form of a blade belonging to Trojan. Aiden and Procyon are now at the administrator's location, and there Aiden finally sees him. Lloyd notes how different Aiden is compared to back then. Aster informs Aiden of Trojan, an otherworldly being and the most dangerous threat they have. He says that she has taken over the viruses and that Aiden is likely her next target due to his administrative authority, as that must also be why Aiden managed to survive deletion through Trojan's help. Aster talks of that day, how it was due to chasing Trojan that he came upon the village, that Trojan is undetectable and can change her appearance at will, and it is because of this that Aster deleted all those places. Aiden argues that there must have been another way that did not result in such loss of life, and gets angry at Aster, saying there was none. He argues why so many like his sister had to suffer over Aster's incompetence, and how he should have found a way as it was his job. In his outburst, the moderators approach to threaten harm, but a voice from the side warns them, and that voice happens to be Arya's. It is also then that she reveals that the administrator is her big brother, to Aiden's shock. Aster interrupts by asking what Aiden's purpose is, to which he replied, "My purpose is to rebuild the entire system." He notes that the administrator has never performed an update and that his solution is to delete. Aiden believes that society must be rebuilt, and he can do it because he can heal bugs. With this, Aster teleports the two of them for a conversation where he admits that Aiden is right. He had begun to regain his feelings after Sirius's death, and notes that for the world to be better, he must step down. They teleported back to the others only for them to find Aiden holding his sword against Aster. Aiden is angry over Aster's easy escape from responsibility, to which Aster says that he may delete him. The moderators rush to his defense only to find their weapons deleted. Procyon begs Aiden to understand that he had to make those choices, that they caused him a great deal of pain, and to take her instead. Aiden declares that none of that will bring his sister back, and as he prepares, he notices Arya and how the bond between hers and Aster is like one between him and his sister, so he lets him go and walks away. The moderator asks Aster what is going on, to which he talks about how he failed his job, and that Aiden is a better replacement. Xenon argues that he did the best with what was available, and that the viruses are truly at fault. Procyon notes that he should ask Aiden for help instead. Aster speaks of how there is much he can teach Aiden, and that they would work together to fix the world, starting with Aster himself. Aiden agrees and prepares to restore him. He is blinded by Aster's status and the damage done to him. Yet, as he is about to, a light is shining from Alice's bracelet, and a voice is heard telling him not to worry. The light takes the form of Aiden's sister, Alice. Back in the regular world, Selena is reminiscing on her past, where she witnessed one of the administrator's deletions. A virus was there, noting the cruel way he was destroying all. The virus tells her that they plan on killing him and why they woke her up from maintenance as a valuable chess piece. Selena walks into the room where she stabs at Crystal with Trojan's blade, breaking it and letting the viruses in. A warning system blares, stating that the viruses have invaded and that the system functions are weakened, meaning that commands are limited. The moderators find strong viruses with them by the name of Beetlejuice, Regen, Virus F, Virus E, and Worm, who opens a portal to bring this army here. Procyon notes the presence of Beetlejuice and goes to confront him, leaving Arya to protect Aiden and Aster. Back with Aiden and Aster, Aiden is shocked by the arrival of his sister, wondering if that is her. As he goes to her, Aster stops Aiden to let him know that the girl is in fact not his sister, but the virus Trojan herself. Aster warns him to run, that he never had a sister in the first place and the entire ordeal was a ploy. He then attempts to permanently delete her only for it to not work. Trojan notes that Aster took her core and it has been breaking him since. She takes back the core in both Aster and Aiden and combines them into one, and with it, her true form is revealed as the #1 ranked. The battle between the moderator and viruses rages on, with the moderators proving their might by slowly inching to victory. The viruses try to alter Aiden and Aster only to be destroyed by Procyon's shield. Procyon then summons all remaining guards to join the fight, causing Regen to worry about their chances. Suddenly, Aster and Aiden wake up, with Arya noting Aster's healed eye as a sign of progress, but with them came Trojan to Worm's delight. Her presence seems to have caused a system halt, disabling firewalls and administrator rights. As players received the notification, they had no idea what it meant until they noticed that when they die, they were no longer being revived. It is then that it is revealed there is no longer any protection coming from the system and that death is now a possibility. Players are panicking over this, calling friends but getting no replies, seeing their status as dead, and that the monsters seem to have escaped their designated zones, causing chaos. Back at the battle, the moderators notice the change in circumstance and Arya leaps to strike Trojan only to be blocked by a shield. Arya demands to know if she stole her brother's power, only for Trojan to say she simply took back what was his. Procyon also attacks to no effect, and as the moderators try to join, they were blocked by the viruses, with Worm declaring that Trojan is the true owner of the world. As they clash, Xenon notices that their attacks can cause infection, leaving them at a disadvantage. While the battle rages, Trojan looks upon it and says stop, causing all to be paralyzed. Worm asks why she would do this to her allies, only for Trojan to declare that she would never all with the likes of them. She blasts everyone away to talk to her brother, but finds that Arya is still standing and defending Aiden. Arya talks about how Aiden is the most important person in the world right now and that she will protect him no matter what. She then seems to transform into a new Ook, wielding her bound weapon and finally going back to her title as the antivirus. The viruses are still shocked at Trojan's action, and the moderators notice a powerful clash of gold and blue happening everywhere in the area. Trojan attempts to restrain her, only for her to dodge and slice him. She then creates a wall to block her, only for the wall to be destroyed. Then each used a special command, Arya having Slash and Trojan Firewall, only for it to reach a stalemate. Arya says they will stop her from her goals, to which Trojan replies that she merely wanted to return, but it seemed she had failed. She then used a stat down command on Arya, weakening her. Trojan acknowledges how Arya is likely stronger than Aster, and she had hoped the two of them could have sent her back to her home, but it was not possible. But she had, in her darkest times, found her brother. Arya breaks away from her hold, only to summon a block field around her, one she could not escape from unscathed. Aiden wonders where Arya is and tries to find her, but in a flash, Trojan appears before him and greets him as her brother. The scene shifts to a flashback of a young Aiden pickpocketing a player and buying jewelry for his sister. While Aiden promises to buy something nicer for her next time, Alice replies that she is already happy with what she has. The scene returns to the battle as Arya manages to break out of the field and rushes to Aiden. Meanwhile, Trojan looks upon Aiden, noticing the bracelet he has, while Aiden mournfully asks why she has deceived him. She replies that she must go back no matter what, and that the only way is through Aiden's hidden power, which she will have even if she must delete him, though she does say not to worry as this world will never give up on him. Just as Trojan uses the permanent delete command, Arya rushes over to take the blast instead of Aiden. Arya talks of how she only wanted her brother back and that he was a means to that goal. She apologizes for the dishonesty and she fades away in golden flakes. Trojan notes that she must have been important to him and says that should be enough for him to awaken. Aiden demands to know what she wants and why she needs to delete him. Trojan replies that things are different now, and that she can bring Arya back as the system is willing to do anything for him, no matter the limits. She says that once he wakes up, he should find her and then vanishes. As Aiden mourns, he realizes he can still use commands and attempts to bring Arya back by permanently deleting himself. As he is being transported, he sees a glowing blue figure that could only be Arya and rushes to her, and as he does, everything fades to black. Aiden wonders what is going on and where he is, and as he does, a voice keeps telling him to wake up, to open his eyes. As he notes the familiar tone, he awakens to find Arya in front of him, and on her shoulders is a tiny white dragon. Aiden is shocked and relieved to see Arya alive and well, and also surprised to see the tiny dragon that he guesses is Sirius. Arya asks Aiden to calm down and lets him know that he has been asleep for 3 years. As Aiden sits confused, Arya recollects that Aiden restored them. Aiden was trapped in a void, trying again and again to restore Arya, to the point that he could no longer tell how long he was there and what he was even there for. Suddenly, a blue crystal appeared before him, noting it must be Sirius's star and how it helped him last time. The crystal creates a light in the void and shows Aiden a small blue light, reminding him of why he was here. As he tries to reach it, a strange black hand reaches out to restrain him, preventing him from leaving. He recalls the words his sister said of his importance to the system, encouraging him to give it his all. He breaks away from the hands and manages to successfully restore himself. He finds himself in a new area, holding Arya's and Sirius's essences. A voice speaks out, congratulating him for a successful restoration. The voice is the system of the world, programmed to awaken when Aiden arrives there. Though the system tried every way to restore him, it was Aiden's own will that brought him back, and now his wish is the system's command. Aiden wonders how he still has administration powers, only for the voice to say that those powers are always his and cannot be taken away. Aiden then learns it is possible to restore others with his powers, but is warned that there are potential risks, but continues regardless. The restoration begins and Arya is brought back, to Aiden's tearful relief. Arya awakens to find Aiden holding her body, and she wonders how she is even here despite her being deleted. Aiden explains the system and how he used the restore command to save her. To Arya's shock and worry, there is great risk in doing so. As she said this, a warning blared, stating that the use of restore has caused him to overload. Despite the exhaustion, Aiden is determined to use it once more to revive Sirius. However, he is warned that permanent deletion is not meant to be reversible. A great deal of energy was used to make it happen, and doing it again could cause permanent damage. Arya also begs him not to be reckless, but Aiden is determined to repay the debt to Sirius for all his help, and uses the restore command once more, reviving Sirius. Arya then realizes that Aiden's talent in dealing with the bugs must come from his ability to use restore. However, Aiden finds himself in great pain, and the system declares critical damage has been done. Searching for a solution, the system informs them that the only way to save him is to use all of the system's power to increase Aiden's healing efficiency, and that it will take a long time to complete. The scene goes back to the present, and Aiden remembering everything that happened. Aiden notes that they have been eating all of these years for him and asks how he is feeling. Aiden notes that he is feeling stronger than ever before. Aiden tries out his new powers, commanding abilities like never before, surprising Arya and leaving her in awe. Aiden uses the create command and crafts a blade called the execution sword and tests it out, noting its power but admitting it's still not comparable to the enforcement sword, all the while noting he is no longer feeling exhausted from using commands. Arya is impressed by the ability to create bound weapons with such ease, noting that even Aster has a hard time making them. Arya embarrassingly asks him to make one for her, to which he instantly made a bound weapon similar to her old one, and he even made accessories for Sirius as well. Just before Aiden tries to leave, Arya stops him to let him know something about the large amount of hair he has grown while asleep. While Arya goes to change, Sirius warns Aiden that Trojan is far more dangerous than he thinks, and if he is sure he wants to do it. Aiden replies that as they are family, he feels he must find Alice and see what can be done for her. As Aiden and Arya get their new outfits, he moves to Arya to give her a necklace, to Arya's fluster. As they prepare to leave, Aiden wonders what awaits them after such a long time away from the outside world. Aiden uses the exit command and they blast off to their world, only to find ruins and purple virus pillars around as the update to version 1.0 is complete.